There is an interesting phenomenon that I'm observing, which I would call the rise of inhumane, brutal, and uncompassionate femininity, which I want to advise men to protect themselves from. And I'm hoping that some women who might be unwittingly engaging in it, they might reflect on it. Obviously, the equivalent of that has existed in masculinity for a long time, but this video is not about that. And the reason I'm using the word femininity is because in the minds of women who are being so uncompassionate, inhumane, and brutal to men, they're being feminine. Of course, this has been told to them by a bunch of social media influencers, and I know that this is only an interpretation of femininity. I have very good friends who work with sexual polarity, and they also think that this is quite awful. So I have a friend who has recently broke up with his partner. This partner always wanted him to brutalize her, to always take her in this really macho, dominant, intense way, because she's a woman and he's the man who is supposedly meant to provide this. She was given nothing back to him in sex because she is the receptive feminine. His job was to heavily pound her for a long time, which she demanded because, he is the masculine. And after some time of being together, his sexual system basically collapsed. He lost his libido. He had to do a number of things to recover in himself. And this is my friend, but I've heard many stories like this already from men that I work with in consultancy, from men on my courses, from men around me. So there seems to be a spreading vision of femininity, that a woman's job in sex is supposed to be the open one, the receptive one, the surrendering one. And the man's job is supposed to be taking her, dominating her, taking charge, taking control. The reality beneath this social brainwash is that you've got two human beings who have the same needs from intimacy, but one of them has been put into service to the other, supposed to be creating the whole interaction, the whole sex, the whole energy for two, which is going to be always beyond his capacity, in the long term at least. And the other person's job in this interaction is just to receive it. And this is presented as the natural order of things, because this is how women are and this is how men are, supposedly. So I presume I don't need to go into detail why this is not right. But also on a practical level, if somebody has been telling you that this is how you're gonna have a passionate sex life, and this is truly how polarity works, and this will drive your sex life forever, it's going to be exactly the opposite. You're going to completely break the system. This is a completely unimaginable, unsustainable way of having sex, and anybody who's telling you that sex works like this doesn't know their ass from their elbow. So of course there are a lot of women online who are raving about how nice it is when a man is taking them and dominating them, and they can just surrender and let go, and they can let him take charge. Of course it is very enjoyable. That is easy to understand, because frankly, what is not to like? Essentially, a person in this position outsources all the responsibility for their sexual experience to the other person. They have to take you, they have to initiate, they have to create this energy, they have to dominate you to get you out of your head, they have to arouse you, they have to pound you to give you your satisfaction. And if in any way it is not working for a woman, then more and more women are blaming the man for it, that he's not dominant enough, he's not intense enough, or not masculine enough to be creating that experience for her. And they don't seem to reflect that maybe I'm not doing enough to get out of my head, to connect with my body, to be in this experience, to create this sexual energy together, to create more sensitivity in my body so I don't need to be pounded, for hours. Things that are essentially impossible for the other person to do for you anyway. And this version of femininity becomes really, selfish and uncompassionate to the other person, because he's supposed to deliver it. He's supposed to strain his resources. It's all at the expense of his energy, of his resources, and more often at the expense of his heart and soul, because more and more women are asking good, loving men to be violent lovers. And this has been explained as a natural order of things, that this is how men and women work. And in my opinion, it offers a very, convenient place for some women who buy into it to be, because it is like a natural explanation, a divine right to basically be provided with an experience without actually doing much. And there is a divine right explanation for why it should be so. What I'm finding really curious is that, again, it's really easy to understand why so many women say that this really works for them, of course, for obvious reasons. But there is an assumption that the man is also in his masculine role here, so therefore he also obviously loves it. And this is assumed that men love having to provide all this, having to be these really intense, dominant, taken lovers that are there to pound and pound and pound the woman into her surrender and her openness, and all they want is for her to be submissive. My experience of talking to men is that I'm not seeing men men loving it. Some men are. Men, God bless them, are doing what they've always done, which is they take it upon themselves. It's one more thing they have to do as a man. They have to provide. They're feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling under a lot of pressure. They feel exhausted. They also wish that they could just relax in sex. They didn't have to create the energy for the two people, that they could also be nourished and loved and given to. And they're missing that. But they understand that as a man, I have to do this. Everybody online is just hacking their deepest historic anxieties, that you're not going to be man enough, that you're not going to satisfy your woman, that she will leave you for somebody else who can dominate her better and pound her for longer. So I'm seeing a lot of men who are not driven into this by loving this kind of sex. They're driven by fear. And everybody's just really helpfully dialing up those anxieties in men. For some idiot on YouTube who's going to promise to them to, increase their performance by 4 hours. So I think women on the whole have to come out of this illusion that this is what men want to do in sex. This is what a lot of women currently want to receive from sex, again, for obvious reasons. Now, I understand that some people will tell me this is just a really bad interpretation of sexual polarity and femininity. This is not how femininity should be, really. When a woman is all receptive and surrendering and open in the right way, she creates some kind of a magnetic effect that generates a massive amount of energy that feeds the man and sex works and all that. Maybe. The fact remains that if this is what you believe and this is the concept in your head, but the actual end result, the output, is that the man is constantly exhausted, under pressure, in service mode, and gets nothing back from the woman, then clearly something is not working here. Maybe women have misinterpreted it. Maybe they do need a better teaching on it. I'm also reflecting that this supposed, cosmic truth, that this is what femininity is and this is what masculinity should be, is not really working for women either. We're observing that women need more and more intense stimulation, more and more domination, more and more extreme things, more and more brutal things. Why? Because this is not working. This is just escalating from something that is failing. Women are becoming less and less able to engage with sexual energy in their body, to feel it. They're becoming more desensitized and numb. Obviously, there is a mood when it's really nice for a man to take a woman who is all, surrendering to him. Lots of it in the honeymoon, lots of it every now and again. But on the whole, the man doesn't want to be in this really intense output all the time, and he can't. And he wants to receive the same back as well. The reality beneath this social brainwash: you are both human beings. You both have the same needs in sex. You both need nourishment from sex. You both need sexual energy to feed you. You both need to be loved. Both of you create this sexual energy together, not with some, abstract magnetic bullshit of plus and minus, but actually creating sexual energy together, contributing to it together. Both of you give to each other when needed. Both of you take care of each other, and most of all, you treat each other compassionately, with understanding. You both respect how the body of the other person works, how the energy works and their limitations. And you meet somewhere where you can both have a really nice experience, but nobody's strained, nobody's under pressure, and everybody's comfortable. Now, of course, one of you will be more active on one day, another one on another day, but you can't have a unit where one person is supposed to create everything and the other person is supposed to receive. Whoever told you that this is how your sex life will work has given you a time bomb. So to men who are experiencing this, I want to say, you are not meant to provide this kind of sex to women. Don't let anybody brainwash you. You bring the best of you into sex. Your love, your skills, your genuine desire to give her a great experience as well, and to yourself. But you respect that your capacity is your capacity. You love the woman, you nourish the woman, you make her feel good, but you deserve exactly the same back. You are a human being, you are a system. You also need to be nourished by your woman. You are totally fine as you are on different days when your energy is different. You are allowed this. You deserve compassion, you deserve understanding, you deserve attention, you deserve love. Take care of your sexual energy, don't break it. Have strong boundaries, give the best of yourself, but expect the same in return. And women's femininity is not in all this like primitive cookie cutter version that you're seeing, that you are the surrendering, the open, the receptive one. There is an aspect of that to women which is important, just like in men. But your feminine energies are far more complex and far more diverse than this. Women have very powerful, creative, nourishing energies as well. Women are great creators, great nourishers, great life givers, great lovers. And a lot of women know this about themselves in all areas of their life except in sex. And what I've seen from working with women is that women will never find themselves by being the surrendering, the receptive ones. They only find themselves when I teach them to be the creators, the lovers, the nourishers, in addition to surrendering. Only then they feel truly fulfilled as lovers.